for some reason there was a range that was placed around the low and the high of these candles. And one particular thing that caught my attention here with me, for me, was the fact that it dipped here for a minute, just pulled back for a minute, held the zone here, because this is not an absolute. You have to look at the zones of the resistance and support. So he held the zones on that dip, but then he reclaimed the VWAP. It was not able to break the previous resistance zone around here. Good afternoon. As requested, I'm gonna make a short video here explaining how to, in a very simple way, read level 2, and we're gonna use an example here because this particular name was asked to make a video for a level 2 time and sales price action real time. And so right now it's a little over midday. It's 1:13 in the afternoon, and today we have Vine, VYNE, moving. The reason why this one started to move in the morning today was because he had some news alongside LUNR, which right now is dropping very fast to 1129 from what happened this morning. But Vine had news of some positive data today. For me, it was kind of like a little bit fluffy. I didn't think that those just positive results was enough for the things. And so what I'm going to try to do here, it's make a quick video showing you guys what I saw this morning and my personal opinion about what I was reading. So this one popped up and was staying really heavy around the area of the VWAP. I'm gonna pull it a little closer here. When that happened, I started to see here. Let's pull the Heiken issues a little closer. So you start to see how it starts to climb on the VWAP, moving VWAP right here from the pre-market hours. The view is up here. So the thing is that as if was trading around the VWAP, it was retesting these areas several times. Now, so for the explanation here, many of you might use Thinkorswim as it has a free platform. Maybe you're using Robinhood or Webull or any other free platform that you have out there. This is DOS Pro. Right now you see how they divide the level 2 box time and sales. I have it on the right hand side. You can see how the arrow indicates here when those shares are being filled on an uptick or downtick. So they divide the levels of specific prices where the different exchanges are sitting and where traders are putting their orders in different exchanges and the prices that are actually holding. The bigger it gets on, let's say, a color and a level on the same price, the more people you see sitting on that particular price. And the one thing that is convenient that a lot of platforms have is that they divide this with different colors. So there's a couple of things. HTV here shows it's hard to borrow, so you cannot just come and short this stock as you please. So you notice that the less people sitting on the level, especially even on the bid, a lot of people try to buy on the bid to try to buy a lower level or a lower price when they want to go long. So if the bid gets really thin and you don't see a lot of people sitting on the bid putting in demand for the action for that particular price, that is an indication that there's really not a lot of people sitting there. Now, when you also see the ask stacked up, that means that this is the supply. This is what you're gonna supply. This is the bid right here, the ask on the level 2 box, and this is the time sales. Time and sales show you exactly what price is being filled. You see it here going in red. If you see it white, that means it's been filled on the spread. If you see a light blue It means if you see green, that means it's being filled on the bid. And if you see a lighter blue, for example, is being filled over the bid, or a lighter red right here, that means that it's being filled under the bid. So people are hitting the bid right now. You can see how the arrow shows a down tick. So people are putting just getting out. Okay, they don't care, just putting orders to get out. You can see 2,000 shares to 2,500 shares, 1,000 shares here, there. This is being filled in the spread. So the supply and demands right here, sitting on the bid and the ask. This is the demand, this is the supply zone. A lot of people, when you see this stacked up, that shows sometimes resistance, because, for example, people want to sell on a higher tick, and a lot of times you see big ask sitting here, 25, 250, 300. That means you have to multiply each number right here by 100. That means if you see a 300, that means it's 30,000 shares, and so on and so forth. If you see 1,000, that means somebody's trying to put in an order for 100,000 shares. So this morning I started to see how it started to get heavy around the BU app, and it was not really moving. It, for some reason, there was a range that was placed around the low and the high of these candles. And one particular thing that caught my attention here with me, for me, was the fact that it dipped here for a minute, just pulled back for a minute, held the zone here, because this is not an absolute. You have to look at the zones of the resistance or support. So he held the zones on that dip, but then he reclaimed the view app. It was not able to break the previous resistance zone around here, but we had a high on this candle that was $4.36. So it was really tricky for me. This price action, there was a ton of sales going through, and you can see the time of sales to speed up, the level 2 box speeding up, and those two candles on 1 minute here engulfed the whole range, and there was a ton of shares going through, but nobody was allowing this price to go higher or lower than this previous range that we'd had. Now, we had a higher day during the pre-market hours at $4.81, and I was particularly interested to see how the price was going to react into those areas. But the fact that when we came to retest the view app several times, it dipped here and it went for a low of $3.85. I believe some long traders stepped out here for $4.13 because a lot of them were placing orders for the low of the range, which was around $3.95, but he dipped it another 10 cents under that, right? So people put in hard stops to get filled if those zones didn't hold. All of a sudden, it just reclaims on the same candle, printing a long-legged doji, or a dragonfly doji, my apologies. Comes to the high and actually breaks the zone to then continue to the higher day, the pre-market highs. The one thing that I didn't really appreciate was the fact that I thought, and this is my personal opinion, I thought that saying good results, and it was a preliminary result. It was not necessarily something that they were testing or that they knew that they had a lot of data to back. It was just some results from something that they did, but then they not really trying. This is not something that they developing already. Some results. So it sounded worded. The wording of those news for me were kind of like too masked, with a little bit too much makeup, I will say, just to kind of mask it and make people buy this. So You notice right here how it started getting very, very heavy. We had a 481. It pushed to the 5, and it broke, right? We have 499 by a penny here, and then it pulled back. What calls my attention though is that now new high a day, which was around 499. Right here we had 2 candles at 499, and so being that 499 is there, you have a psychological level. Look at how this is actually printing real time, right? You have to pay attention to the numbers. And again, this platform device and many other platforms out there, E-Trade and some other ones, divide the levels for the different exchanges where the traders are sitting, placing their orders by colors, which is a lot easier to read. And this is not something that you're gonna be able to see like the Matrix, like all of that green thing going through on that black monitor that they have on those movies, right? But you have a feeling of what it does every time to get to a level. You have to see how it speeds up, it slows down, how many people are sitting on this level, what happens when the level is hit, it slams down. Is it taken over? Is it something that it maintains around the same areas? So it's not like you're gonna look at this and stare at it and know exactly what's gonna happen by the penny. It's just the reaction of the level toolbox that give you an indication of what the price might do next. So going back to the level here, this is something that caught my attention, being that there was a psychological level around the $5. 499 was now higher day, and right here as they were bringing it back over this 481 back to higher day here, they allow the price to go to 505, and all of a sudden they slam it down. Look at the volume there, 1 million shares on that 1 minute candle, slamming the price right back down on just a couple of seconds, right back down to $4.52, a 50-cent drop. There's a ton of people getting out right after, gets to VWAP, puts in a bear flag pattern right under the VWAP. You can see it here coming down and put in that little flag with this 2 little green candles, and then starts to consolidate under it. Now VWAP is that resistance point. Look at right here how it retests the VWAP several times. So flush, flag, flush, flag, and then go sideways, 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 sideways. Right, so now VWAP is that resistance zone that I kept on talking about during the day, that I didn't really want to touch it because I didn't feel that the news were particularly great, right? And it's just something that when they try to mask and word those news in a way that make the price go, but it not necessarily something that might hold the trend, I would just say that if you're gonna trade it knowing that you're gonna get out, and don't hold it for the long term, because at the end of the day you might get on being trapped on this particular thing. Now we have seen a reclaim of the VWAP here real time. Look at how demand is actually coming in a little bit, but we see here the ask, how they are putting those orders to sell as the price comes higher, right? So they ask right here is a couple of people sitting 4,400 shares sitting at 44. Look at how this gets stacking up at 444 and then 445, and right there, look at this. There was a 10,000 right here sitting 120, 12,000 actually sitting at 440, right? So you got to pay attention to those things. And again, you look at the arrow, it indicates of if this price is getting filled on the long high tick or under higher or lower tick. Look at right there, 12,000 shares, my apologies, sitting on that 440, and as it got filled, the price is pulling back again. So again, it's not an absolute thing. This is something that you just got to pay attention to and see how it does. Look at that, 440, you got 4,000 shares. So you can see here how this thing gets filled. Just got to pay attention to this stuff. That's pretty much it. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to bring you this video. It was requested from me to make it. Look at how it's actually riding on top of the moving view app, 50 simple moving average on the 5. We're gonna be paying attention to it moving forward during the day, but as of right now, I didn't really wanna touch it. And at the same time, LUNR does news. They had a contract with the NASA team, and they had 700 million contract. Anyway, those news didn't really hold. All right, so we can see a pullback here to the view app area, $4.33. You can see how it's slamming lower tick, and so it starts to consolidate around here. See how it does after that. But I am particularly not interested on trading this one stock right now.